conference will now be recorded.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We'll wait for the other participants to join. We will give them a few minutes.
Okay, no problem.
I hope today the technology doesn't ditch us. Last time we had to close in the middle.
Yeah, we hope so too.
let's start, guys. We've done the basic introduction. So today we will jump into the exercises. And the first exercise that we intend to do is some basic introduction to Excel, shortcuts, and a little bit of a kind of icebreaker. And we start with writing a formula for this times table. And I have a light comment at the beginning of this program that we start from kindergarten. So this is our kindergarten lesson. And in kindergarten lesson, we are going to write the formulas for the writing times table. The times table for 2 is written for us. This is 2 ones are 2, 2 twos are 3, so 2 twos are 4, 2 threes are 6, and like that. Uh, the issue with this formula is if I try to copy this formula down, this would start giving me wrong results. And this is how the things would go. If I copy this formula down, I am not going to get the correct results. And similarly, if I copy this formula across, I don't get the correct results. And these results are absolutely uh, wrong and kind of not representative of the correct method that we are going to work with. Now, why Excel does that? By default, Excel works with relative referencing. Relative referencing means now the cell in which this formula is written is cell uh, C5, and the first component of this formula is C4, which is cell above this cell in which we are writing the formula. And the second component of this formula is B5, which is the cell on the left side of the cell where we are writing this formula. So whenever we copy this formula from, uh, let's say I copy this formula from this cell C5, if I place it in G9, for example, uh, this will, I didn't copy it. Let's copy one more time and paste it in G9. You see what this formula is doing? It is again trying to pick up the values from the cell above and cell on the left. So by default, whenever you write a formula, Excel will write relative values. Now, this is a very useful kind of tool for writing formulas. However, this loses its utility if you are in a situation where you want to keep one of the elements fixed or both elements fixed. So what we need to do is we need to convert the first component of the formula in such a way that it always picks from this row number 4, and when we copy the formula down, it should keep picking from the column C, and when we copy the formula across, it would go change the column reference from C to D and E and K up to K. So this is the first requirement. Now, how do we achieve this? Uh, I would say you need to make column reference as dynamic, and you need me to make the row reference as fixed or absolute. So dynamic and absolute. The- This is in contrast with the relative referencing. Relative referencing is when both the column reference and the row reference is relative. However, in this case, we want to make the column reference as relative and row reference as absolute. As we want to always pick from row number 4, whether we are in column C or D or E or K, whichever column we are working with. How you can achieve that? You can achieve that by function key, and F4 function key can help you with that. If I press F4 function key, you can see that both column reference and row reference. I always like to remind people that do not try to remember this referencing as the letter and number. Letter is the column reference and number is the row reference. So always remember it as column reference and row reference. So what we are saying here, the column reference is now absolute and row reference is absolute. However, if we leave our formula like that, when I copy from C to D, this will continue to pick the values from column C. So to make this column reference as dynamic, if I press one more time, now you see the column C, uh, column reference is not absolute, but the row reference is absolute. So this part of the formula has been taken care of. Now, if I go to the second part, now in the second part, our requirement is different. Our requirement is that the value should always change when we move down in the column, and the value should not change if we move in terms of columns on the right. So what we need to do in this case, we need to make the column reference as absolute and the row reference as relative. So if I press F4 one time, you get your absolute reference. If I press F4 one more time, now this is column reference relative and row reference absolute. But I need column reference as absolute and row reference as dynamic. So I will press one more time and that will give me the desired result, which is column reference is absolute and row reference is dynamic. So this formula now will work for our situation, and I can quickly copy the formula down and you can see the results are there. And if I copy the formula across, that should also give the correct result. And here is the tables, and it's always a good practice when you copy the formulas like that. You should check a few places that the numbers are being picked from the right places. You can see the numbers in F9 are being picked from the right places. The numbers in J12 are also being picked in the right places. And now, wherever you go, you see the first component of your formula. The row reference is absolute, the column reference is dynamic, and second component of the formula, your column reference is absolute, and your row reference is dynamic. And that serves the purpose of this particular formula situation. Uh, you will be faced with many situations in your modeling where you need to have absolute referencing. Absolute referencing would mean the row reference and column reference both should be absolute, and there should be a relative referencing or a mixed referencing, which is absolute and relative together. So this is the situation where we have two different flavors of absolute and relative reference. In first component, our column is absolute and the row is sorry, our column is the relative and row is absolute. And in the second component, our column is absolute and the row is relative. But when I select the formula, this also gives you a small result on top of it, and it is showing 8. The second component of the formula is bringing the number 8, and the first component of the formula is bringing the number 9. So 8 nines are 72. That is the result of this function. So this is your absolute and relative referencing. Any questions or comments? You can stop me anytime, and if you want me to repeat anything, I will do that. Uh, now the next exercise that we have is it's a very small and basic exercise. In this exercise, what I need is I want the row totals and I want the column totals. Uh, how should I do this? How should I get this row and column totals in one go? Somebody help me with this, please. Is there a magic keystroke that can help me achieve this? As you can hear me, right?
Please repeat the question.
my question, I want to achieve the column reference, the column totals and the row totals. How do I do that? Column totals in row number 15 and the row totals in column G. So how do I get that? Should I add some function, some formulas, and copy it like that? Or is there another easier method to do this? Anyone?
I think basically you can use the sum formula on the row and the same
Very
sum
good.
formula on the column
Like
as well.
you mean if I do this sum and if I add these values, that will give me the sum of these, and I'll make it bold and I will copy the formula across, right?
Yes,
This is what you
please.
are this is what you're suggesting?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Let me show you another magic. I'm selecting all these cells here. Anybody has a different suggestion? Come on, guys, let's be interactive. Okay, I have selected all these areas where the row in which I want to have the totals and the column in which I want to have totals are also selected. And the areas that I need to sum up, they are also selected. I'm holding down my Alt button and I'm pressing is equal to sign. And here is the magic. All the totals appear immediately and all the column totals are there. All the row totals are there. Here are your sums, and Excel has automatically added these formulas for me, and the formula added is the same sum function that I was adding manually, and this is sum by it is sum of the column, and here is sum of the row. So this is this magic button, Alt, hold down Alt and press is equal to, and that will add the sum function automatically in all the blank spaces that you have selected, and those blank spaces will be filled with the sum function, and you will automatically get your column totals and row totals. I have done it for multiple columns and multiple rows, but you can do it for single column or single row also. For example, if I press Alt is equal to here, this is intelligently giving me the sum of only this cell, because this is not a continuous value. This is a sum value of all the other rows. So if Excel intelligently, if it starts summing up these values also, it will be double sum. So Excel will not do that. Otherwise, this will give you a very kind of wrong result. So if I remove this sum function, for example, and if I just hold down Alt and is equal to, it will sum the single column. And if I remove this total and I put Alt is equal to, it will sum this rows. So it can sum one row and one column, or it can sum the entire columns and rows in the entire range that you have selected, whatever is your selection. Clear, guys? Any questions or comments on this? Okay. Uh, let's do another exercise a little bit. And what we are going to do in this, we have these branches, Western, Central, Eastern, and online sales. We want some of these values, and we want the total of the month also. So what we are going to do, we are going to again do the same magic. Alt is equal to, and here are your total sums. And let me enlarge this, and this is your sums. These are formatted as dollar values. You can you put your required function if you like. If I want to see the average of my sales from all sources, the function I'm going to use is average. This average is, I always like to write the function like this. I've typed average and I'm going to press down the tab button, and that invokes the function and it is ready to receive the values. And I will select the values, and these are the values I want to use for calculating an average. And that gives me an average sales, and I will copy it down. Now I want to see, and you see Excel, I just copied the formula down, and Excel did not make an average of the totals value. Excel is again anticipating that it is supposed to calculate only the values until the original values appear. The last value, because it's a sum, it's not giving me the average of the sum values. Now, if I want to do that, I can by force copy it down and it will calculate the average, but that average will not be automatically done. All right, now the next function, I want to find which source provided the minimum sales and maximum sales. So which function should I use? Which function should I use to get the minimum value? Any help here? Washington, last time also, I think we had a problem with your mic. You are trying to speak, but I can't hear you. Okay, the function I'm going to use is min, which is short for minimum. And when I start with min, I just have to give the values and it calculates the minimum value. And let me copy it down. Again, it will stop at this level. And the mirror function that I use for maximum is max. And this max function can calculate the or find out the maximum value in these sales. And you notice I don't close the brackets because Excel can automatically close the last bracket. So I don't need to uh, type that bracket. Excel will automatically put that bracket on for me, and it will not even give me an error message. So this is the minimum values, and these are the maximum values. This gives us the total calculation for on this data set that we have. We have found out the totals, we have found out the averages and minimum and maximum values for these records. Any question, the comments on this? Okay, the next values I want to calculate are in this data set. I want to see how many rows of data or how many values in this data set. There are multiple ways to do that, but the easiest way is to use a count function. There are many times there are requirements in your calculation that you want to see how many values are there in your analysis. So I'm putting a count function, and I will select the rows in which that I want to count, and that should count all the rows for me. There are total 17 rows in this analysis. Now, if I copy this formula and paste it here, let's see if it counts these also or not. The formula doesn't count because the count function only counts the numerical values. It doesn't count the text values, or if there are any other non text characters, it doesn't count them. So what should we do if we want to count the non-numerical values? The function that we are going to use is a slightly different function, and that is count R. This count R will calculate the non-numerical values, and this will also give us the same result, which is 17. there's another function that can do this job for us. And if I say rows, and let's try this rows function, and I will select these rows. Let's see what result we get. And this is the same result as 17. Now, if you don't want to bother with putting in any uh, kind of uh, data values or text values or non-text values and the numerical values, then the better function to use would be the rows function. And this rows function will calculate all the filled rows in this. Let's say if I delete one, this count R has not counted that blank cell, but the rows function continues to count that rows, because in that range it is it is calculating the number of rows in that. So this is the alternatives uses of the functions. if you have if you have a chance that there may be some blank rows, then rows will not give you the correct result. Count R will give you the correct result. However, if there are no blank rows, then rows and count R can give you the same result, and count also, they will also give you the same result. So this is the kind of utility of these functions. Whenever you are looking for the number of values in the data, you can use rows, count R, or count for numerical values. Uh, the rows function, a similar function to rows, is another function called columns. And this columns function will, of course, when the row function calculates the number of rows, columns function will calculate number of columns. And for that, you will have to give the columns range, and that will count the concurrent number of columns in that range, and that is what is the column for. So we have looked at three functions: count R, rows, and columns. Any questions about this? Any comment you have? All right. This is a use case for your absolute function. We have the employee range. We have the sales department, we have the department of each employee, we have the salary of each employee, and you want to calculate the bonus. And the bonus is based on this is the bonus rate, 7.5%. So I want to multiply the salary with the bonus rate, and the bonus rate is fixed for all employees. So if I multiply this with this value, and I have to make it absolute because I am going to copy it down, and I want all the values to be multiplied by this value which is in J1. So this is the bonus for my first employee. I have to copy it down. All the employees, the bonus is calculated here. Let me just uh, copy the formatting, and I copy the formatting from here. I don't want the dollar values. So let's copy one step more. These are our bonuses, and all bonuses done. Then the total salary is a simple calculation, which will be the sum of salary plus bonus. Uh, what we wanted to demonstrate by this is actually the use of absolute function, and the absolute function is let's put the totals here by this sum. And you see these numbers are not blank. The Excel is reluctant to create the totals here, so that I made them blank, and here are the sums, and you have your total value for salaries and bonus, and the total value for each employee, total salary what the employee will get. So this is the use of absolute function. You can combine several functions together, and here we want to calculate a bonus. Salesperson gets a bonus, 10% of their highest sales for the for this for any quarter. So 10% or 15%. That's this 15 is wrong. Let's make it 10%, and I'll make it 10%. Okay. Now somebody help me with this formula. The results are from quarter 1 to quarter 4, and our company policy is salesperson gets bonus of 10% of their highest sales for the quarter. So what should be the formula here? Guys, don't make me feel that I'm talking to my computer. Be interactive a little bit, please. You guys told me you have Excel capabilities of 5 and 7 and 8. So you should be able to help me with these basic formulas. No help here? Well, what we are going to do, first we are going to calculate or find out what is the maximum value. And this is max function. If we invoke this max function, that will bring out the maximum value in this range. Once we have the maximum value, then we are going to multiply this maximum value with the 10% bonus, and this bonus I played with it and it's not giving me the right value, the 10%. So I will write the function again, max, and max of these values multiplied by this 10%. And because I'm going to multiply this 10% to all the values, so I'll make it absolute. And this is the bonus that somebody will get. Our highest sale in this case, as you can see, is in quarter 1 for Claire, and Claire will get 10% of quarter 1 as bonus. We'll copy the formula down, and we'll see how each one, what kind of bonus each one gets. This is the bonus for Adam and Deb and all the people. And these are your results for the bonuses for each person. We have made a combination of max function and a multiplication. The first part is calculating the or finding out the value to be multiplied with, and the second part is simple multiplication, and that's how you combine multiple functions or multiple mathematical calculations in one step in order to create the desired result for your value. Any questions? Okay, let's use some other interesting functions. These functions mostly apply on text values. Yes. Yes, Eric, you want to say something?
No, no, no. It was a mistake. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Now, these functions generally, they work with the text and numerical values also. These functions are generally used for text values. Let's say in a string of numbers and characters, you want to see what is the length of this total uh, uh, string of values. The function len uh, helps us to understand the total length of the function, and if I just hit enter, that gives me 11, and this is the uh, length of my values. Total characters in this are 11, and this means all the characters, including text characters, numerical characters, and other characters that are typed in between. So this is your total length of the function. This is a very useful function we'll have some use cases and you will understand how we use that. The next function that I'm going to use now is left, and this function is used to extract some values out of a string of texts. And the values that I want to extract, for example, I want to extract the first three values from this string of text. So if I say left, and this left, I from this text, how many values I want to extract? I want to extract 3 characters. So these 3 characters it will extract, and this is what I get. ABC is the first 3 characters that are part of this text, and I can copy the formula down, and this will get me all the values. This is interestingly, sometimes these values are created logically. For example, let's say these are spare parts. The first set of characters that can give you the usage or the utility of these parts for the company. A can signify a certain set of parts. The second character can certify can demonstrate some other characteristic of the spare parts, and third character can demonstrate a third character of the spare parts. The middle numerical characters that can signify the various location of those spare parts, and the third the remaining 3 characters, text characters, that can signify the manufacturer or the supplier of these spare parts. So if you are interested to find out the characteristics or the warehouse location or the manufacturer, you can bring those values separate, and you can analyze them according to your requirement. For example, I have done here the left function. Right function is the mirror image of left. Uh, if the left starts picking the values from the left side, the right starts picking from the right side. So the value would be right. The function start will be right, and the string is the same, and the number of characters I want to extract is 3 again, and that will give me the 3 characters, and that will give me the value that I was looking for. Now you can find the mid value also. Now left and right are relatively easier to apply because they are starting from one end of the text string or the other end of the text string. But mid function, that is in the middle. So rather than giving the number of characters to pick, you have to give the starting value first. So if I use mid function, this mid function, I will give the same text. Now the next thing it asks is starting number. Start from which number? And this number I want to start from is A, B, C, and D. Sorry, this dash. This dash is number 4th. The first, if I want to extract only the numbers, uh, the 1 is fifth character in this string of text. So if I say start from 5, and then I will give the number of characters to pick. I want to pick 3 characters. So what it is going to give me is these 3 characters. So this is how you can bifurcate your values into the uh, characters from the left side, characters from the right side, and the characters in the middle. And that many times comes in very handy if you are picking up the values. We will see in practical examples today or next session how these functions are used in real life examples. And this becomes a very useful tool for your data analysis. Now, any questions or comments? Yes, Washington, you want to say something? I see your hand is raised, but we cannot hear you. You can type your question, please. I'm waiting for your question, Washington. Type your question in the chat, please. Washington, you want to say something? Or cancel your raised hand, please. Okay, I'll move on. And if I receive a question, I will respond to that. All right. Now these functions, proper and lower and upper and trim and clean, these functions, proper and lower and upper, these functions are simply converting your text into the kind of text they are saying. This upper, proper will convert all the text from your what proper means. Each word will start with a capital letter, and there'll be all other characters will be lowercase characters. Now, all this data, as you can see, Deborah is typed capital, and Ashby is a proper word where A is capital and rest of it is lowercase. Adam Lassie is correctly typed. Claire Smith is correctly typed, but there are extra spaces in between. Julie Waters, again, the second word is all capital. And Marian Dornbos, there is a strange kind of character attached to it. And Julie, it's correctly typed. There's no problem with that. Khaled Jubeli, this is again correctly typed, but there doesn't seem to be any problem. If I use a len function, and I think I will first, I will remove, I'm going to change the sequence of the functions I'm going to use. Instead of, I'm going to use trim and clean first, and then I'm going to use this upper, proper, and upper, lower, and proper. And that's going to be this is going to be the sequence. But before I go into the sequence, I want to show you uh, how uh, how to track if there are some, this is okay, if there are some unwanted characters or unwanted spaces in this. I'm going to use here the len function, and this len function, if I apply on all these characters, let's see what is the length we get. Len and Deborah Ashby, we have 13, and let's go down and see all. Look at this example, Anne Yulee. This is Anne and Yulee 7, and the plus one space in between. These are 8 characters, but this len function tells you there are 9 characters here. Similarly, this Marianne Thornboss, there are different characters. This Julie Waters, there are different characters. And this, what I want to do, the first thing I want to do is I want to remove the unwanted spaces. Like in Claire Smith, you see extra spaces in between the two words. There's Julie Waters. There are uh, spaces in the beginning, and there may be a space in the end for and Julie, because you can see 7 characters plus 1 space, but this len function is telling you there are nine characters. So what I'm going to do, the first thing I want to do is I want to apply a trim function. What this trim function does, trim function removes the extra spaces from the beginning, from the end, and in between the words. It will leave only one space, and any extra space will be removed. So my first trim function, Deborah Ashby, there's no difference. And I can copy it all the way down. And you see that this Adam Lassie, there's apparently no change. This Claire Smith, the space in between has been reduced to one space. This Julie Waters, the space from the beginning is gone. This Marian Thornbos, apparently there's no change because this character has not been cleaned. And Yuli also, the character is not gone. And Khalid Jabali, there's no difference. I'm going to apply another len function on this trimmed values. If I select this, let's see how many values we get. Lastly, no change. But Claire Smith, you can clearly see the change. There were extra spaces which have been removed now, and now you see 12 spaces. Julie Waters also, the spaces have been removed. Marian Dorbos, no change, and Julie, no change, and Khalid Javeli also no change. Now I'm going to apply the clean function. This clean function does remove these extra spaces here, which is Marian Doornbos. And in case you see, if I click on this and Yuli, although there are no spaces in before, but actually there are spaces, and these spaces many times when you download your data from some international websites or from ERP systems, many times there are some ASCII characters attached with this data, and those ASCII characters cannot be removed by trim function, and it is difficult to remove them or delete them also. So clean function can help you to do that. And if I use now clean function, this clean function, I'm going to use this data because I have already applied trim, and I don't want to go back with the extra spaces, because clean function does not remove extra spaces. Trim will remove extra spaces, and if there is anything else left in this data, then clean function will remove that. And now if I uh, apply this clean. Now this is my uh, further clean data, and you see that this character from Marian Doornbos is gone. This annually is clean and Khalid Jubeli is clean. Let's apply len function one more time and see what is the difference between uh, the previous. This was after trim, and this is after clean. And now you can see the additional characters which were there in Marian Dornbos. There were additional characters in Anjuli, and there was an additional character in Khaled Javeli also. All those are removed. Now our data has been cleaned. There are no extra spaces at the beginning and at the end of the data, and no extra spaces in the middle, and no ASCII characters also attached with any part of the data. So all our data is now clean. Now all we want to do is, if we have to uh, convert it to upper or lower or some other character, we can do that. If I apply upper, this upper will convert the entire text string into upper characters. And many times when you are, for example, creating emails, you need lower characters. So if I want to create lower characters, this will be I will use this data, this clean data for my basics, and this will become my uh, all characters are lower characters. And if I want proper, the proper function will proper, and I use again the clean data. This proper function will change all the values from the first. Uh, the first word will be the first character of each word will be capital, and the remaining words are the remaining word is in lowercase. So this is my cleaned proper data. I'll highlight this. Generally, this is what we try to achieve in our database systems. We have to remove the extra spaces, and we have to remove those ASCII characters. So all is removed now, and we have our clean and absolutely clear data. Uh, Sometimes it is again advisable that after you have removed everything, all the extra spaces and cleaned, then you can copy your data. I do that, Control C and Control V in the same area, and that will actually paste the same data in values. And now you see all the formulas are gone. This is now only the text that we are looking at. But I'll undo this because I have applied all the functions and I don't want this to be lost. So let's do the undo values, and you can see the functions that we have brought in. But many times it is a good practice that once you have cleaned the data, remove all that formula tracks and bring down data to its basic value, which was clean and properly placed data. Any questions or comments? Anyone? I hope you can hear me still. Yes,
Yes, we can hear you.
okay, good.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good. All right. Now, uh, here is some date and time functions. Uh, Date is a very interesting characteristic of Excel. Uh, First of all, let me show you what does date represent. If I type 1 here, and if I ask Excel, let me go one step down. If I ask Excel to format it as a date, and I want to have a long date, see what Excel brings down. Sunday, January 1, 1900. So keep in mind, guys, Excel thinks that the word started on January 1, 1900. This word did not exist before that in Excel's books. The earliest date Excel can recognize is Sunday, January 1, 1900. Although in your data practice, I'm sure you are not going to get data which is going to be before this date, but this data, Excel, if there is something that you ever worked with before uh, January 1, 1900, uh, there are some workarounds to process the data, but generally Excel is not capable of doing that. The date, no date exists before this date. For example, uh, this is number 1. If I copy this, let me copy it here, and if I paste it back and I just make it general, this is number 1. If I say 0, and if I want to show you the how Excel will convert into date, if I change the format, and it will say Saturday, January 1900. So Excel does not know that before this date was December 31, 1899, because it never existed before that. This is the first day of the universe. So keep in mind, Excel acts for Excel. The first day of the universe is Sunday, January 1, 1900. Now, you want to find today's date. Here, the function that I'm going to use is today. And this today is very uh, interesting function. If I say today and open bracket and close bracket, When I hit enter, it will give me the date of today. Today is 15th of November 2025. Now let me copy this date, paste it here, 15th of November 2025. Let's change the format, and this format I will apply here also. This is now Saturday, November 15, 2025. There's another interesting part of this Excel calculation. Uh, if I want to find the difference between this date, which is today, and January 1, 1900, I can find the difference from this date, and I can check the difference between these two. And this is 45,975 days away from Sunday, January 1, 1900. Sorry. So Excel's universe have existed for 45,975 days. But why Excel can subtract the dates from each other? Because in Excel's memory, date means nothing. It is just a display for us. The date means a number actually. And if I just show you the value of today's date, if I say, and if I format this as general, this is the number actually. 45,976. Today's date in Excel's memory is 45,976. And the difference between this and this, as you can see, is only one. And that's how, if you subtract or add the dates, Excel can give you a number, and this number can be converted into a date format, yes. But this, behind the scene, Excel is working with this as numbers. Now, there is one issue with this date, and the issue is uh, this today function is a volatile function. What I mean by volatile function is that when you open this function, it will show you, open this file again, let's say tomorrow or after 10 days, this today function will recalculate the date, and it will show you the current date on that day when you open this file. Uh, Before we move on, let me do the time function. And the function that, if I want to get the time, what is the time now? The function I've used is now. And again, this now function, start bracket, close bracket, and that gives you the time. And this time is, it gives you date and time actually. And the time is 1700 hours. And this is my machine is on, it gives me time on 24 hours clock. In my place, it is 5 p.m. So it is giving me 1700 hours. And now we'll wait a minute, and you see this system will change the time. The time will change in a minute. Now the time is 1701. This is what I mean by a volatile function. If a function has to recalculate itself every time you open the file, that function, we call it a volatile function. Now, generally speaking, it is a good practice that rather than looking through your calendar and trying to find out what is the date today, you can rely on your machine setting, and you can insert a today function or now function to get the date or time. This is the date. This is the date today. Now, if you want to keep this date fixed, the best idea would be to copy this date and paste it as value. How do you paste it as value? I've copied this date, and I'm holding down shift and control and press V. So this gives me the date now. Now this date becomes hard coded date. First I entered the date function, uh, which is today function, and this today function, then I have now converted into a hard coded date, and this will prevent this function from recalculating every time the file reopens. Is it clear? Now Anytime I will reopen the file, it will not show me the current date, but it will remain as the 15th of November 2025. And that's what we are trying to achieve. We have done this, we have used today function to get the date, and then we convert it into a fixed date. So it will not recalculate, but this value, I will send you this file after completion of the session today. I'll send it to the admin and they will send it to you. And you will notice by the time you open this file, this will not be 15th of November. It will be it will be the date on which you open this file. So this time and date function, day function or date function is today, and time function is now. Both are volatile functions, and if you want to fix them, again, I will copy this and paste it here, and I want to make this fixed. So if I just copy, Shift Control V, now this also becomes fixed. So this is the best practice, that you have to make them fixed. You enter the function first and then you make them fixed. Any question or comment on this? Okay. The next function that we are going to look at is unique. Now here we have a list of cities. You have London and Paris, Paris, Oslo, London, Oslo, Paris, Munich. It is like 10 cities maybe, but you want to find out the unique list. The function I'm going to use is unique, and this unique function will, I'll just select the range, and if I hit enter, these are actually the cities in this list. Only 4 cities. It looks like a long list, but actually there are only 4 cities. This unique function, keep in mind that when I enter this function, you see there is a kind of a line around all these. This actually, this function or any function that generates an array of data, we call these functions as array functions. And the array that it generates is always surrounded by that line. And there's another good indication that if I show you what is the formula in this cell, this is the function that I've entered. And look at the formula bar also. You can see the same function, which is unique L3 to L12. If I go to the next cell, this cell, the same formula is grayed out. And if I double click on this or press F2, this cell is blank. There are no contents of this cell. You can see that the formula bar is also blank. It doesn't show anything. All these results that you see, which is surrounded by this border, is actually a result of this function, which is entered in cell M3 only. And there's no other result anywhere else. This cell is blank. This cell is blank. All other cells are blank. If you have a long array, all cells of that array will be blank. Only the first cell will have the formula that you entered, and this formula generated this this array of cells or array of values. Any questions or comments? No comments? Okay, the next one. Here we have a few numbers that we want to fill. I want to generate a series of numbers. Guys, help me please. I want to calculate, I want to generate numbers from 1 to 50. I type 1 and I want to go up to number 50. How do I generate these 50 numbers? Come on, guys, help me with. And I don't enjoy teaching people who just remain passive and quiet. How do I generate the list? Let's say 1 to 10 values, or 1 to 100.
No problem.
Again,
I think you can you can start with a colon and the number, and you drag to wherever that you want it, and you get your numbers.
a colon like this,
Yes.
a
No,
colon, and
the one. Is, is that a column? I think that's a quote. That single quote up there, not the
human,
bubble.
this colon,
Not column, quote. Single quote.
quote, single quote,
Yes.
like this.
No. This is a column.
Now this is the
Yes,
quote,
like this. Like this.
single
Yes.
quote.
Then the one.
Okay.
Then
Now if I copy it down,
you drag it down.
yeah.
You drag. Yes.
But you know what it's giving me? It is giving me text values. It's a good suggestion, yes. But it's giving me text values. This
Okay. You
green,
can also.
indication is telling me
Okay.
these are
So
text values.
another one is once you enter the one to the next column,
Yeah.
enter the one. Enter one.
Okay.
Then come to the next cell.
Yeah.
Then do equal to.
Two. Okay.
Equal sign.
Okay. Yeah.
The
Two.
top one, the top cell plus one.
Okay. Very good.
Plus
Plus
one.
one. And now I drag
Yes.
it down.
And you drag it down.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good suggestion. I like that. I've seen people do this also. 1, 2, and then 3, and they will
Then they
select
drag
all
it
that
down.
and then select it and drag it down, and that will
Yes.
also create the same. Now let me show you another alternative. And that
Okay.
alternative is you've entered one. Now I'm this is where my cursor changes shape. If I hold down control, you see the shape changes. There's another plus
Yes.
that's coming. Now if I drag down, that will give me those 10 values. As long as I go down, that will give me the values. Let's do it again one more time. I've just entered one and I want to drag it down and I want to generate 10, 20, 50 values. I just hold down control and drag it down and it will give me the values. Let's apply it on the dates. And today's date is 11/15/2025. This is a date. And if I copy it down by the same method, let's see what happens. It doesn't drag down, it gives me the same date. And interestingly, if I want to get the dates, I simply drag it down and it gives me the sequence of dates. You see the dates are being given, dates are in sequence now, 15, 16, 17. So numbers, you press down control and drag it down. For dates, you just drag it down and it will give you the sequence of dates. And there's another formula now that I want to use. This dragging down is a good practice if you want to have 10, 20, 30, 50 values. But if you want to have 500 values, for example, then I'm going to use a function. The function here is sequence. Sorry, SCQU, sequence. And the sequence function can actually generate uh, several rows and columns of data. But in this case, I just want to generate 500 rows and no columns. I can write one column, or I can put a blank comma here. That means Excel by default will interpret this as one column. And I want to start with one, and I want to take a jump of one step. That will give me, starting from one, up to 500 values in sequence. When I hit enter, here are all the values, guys. So you have 500 values. And the benefit of this is if you want to get only the even numbers, let's say if I put the sequence as steps as 2, now you see all my values are even numbers. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17. I want odd numbers. I can start with 2 and all my values will be odd numbers then. So this depends on the situation, what kind of data you want to generate. If I just want to generate my simple 1, 2, 3 sequence of numbers, and again, once you have generated these 500 values, it is always a good practice to remove the sequence function. Just hold down Shift and Control, press down arrow, and that will take you to the end of your selection, and just copy Control C and Shift Control V, and the sequence function is gone, and your data is now only the values that you have inserted. And this is what you need. You want to insert values only. So this is your method. I will undo this and I will leave the sequence function here so that you can see how I have done this. The last thing I want to demonstrate, if I just add 1 here instead of leaving this blank, that will also give you the same result. So this 1, you can add 1 or you can have a blank comma without anything in between, and Excel will go to the default value, which is 1. Okay. Now the next example, I want to multiply all these values with, let's say, 10. I want to multiply all these values with 10. So how should I do that? Somebody help me with this. Guys, help me please. Product function? Okay,
I have a question.
yes.
So you want the multiplication to be done in the same column or in a different column?
Give me both options, same column or different column.
Okay, so if I am doing in a different column, say column H, I'll
Yeah,
just do equal sign 10 times
yeah,
equal to 10 times, then I select the first cell and drag it to
okay.
the bottom.
You mean like this, 10
10
into,
times,
yes,
then you select yes, then enter,
yes,
then you drag.
okay. And then copy it down, right?
Yes,
And if I
yes.
want to multiply the same in the same cell,
For that one, I will just type 10 somewhere and copy it. I'll just type
okay,
10 in a
uh,
different cell.
okay, here,
Yes,
okay,
and copy it.
yes,
Then I'll select all the numbers here,
very good,
then right click and paste
yes,
special,
very good. Pay special,
then multiply.
multiply, and
Okay,
that will do the job. Thank you.
yes.
This is what I wanted to reach. So that's the
Now,
multiplication. And the beauty of this is that after you've multiplied, you can just remove this value
yes.
which you multiplied with, and your data doesn't change. Now the next example, I want to copy these values and paste them here, but I don't want to disturb the values for, for the cells which are blank. Like I want the original value to remain if the value here is blank, and if the here it is not blank, it should be copied and pasted here. But if this cell is blank, the original value should remain. How do I achieve this? My question is clear? I want to copy these values. Let's say copy, and I want to paste in this cell, but I just want to paste the actual values. If there is no value, if this cell is blank, it should remain there. If I simply paste, the values will be, for demonstration, let's copy and let's paste here. It will paste all the values, and blanks will also be copied here. So this I don't want to go. What should I do? Okay, here I'm going to copy, and this also is paste special trick. Again, I've copied these values. I want to paste them here, but I will go to paste special, and in paste special, here it says skip blanks. So when I click skip blanks and OK, then it skips blanks. This original value remains there. Original values remain there. Only the values where there was something in this cell, only those values are pasted, and the blanks are skipped. Clear? Any questions or comments on this? Okay, let's go to the next one. Here we have another exercise, and in this exercise we are going to convert these emails. We have multiple emails: Bonita Thomas 24 at Gmail, Travers Enderberg at hotmail.com, Librian gmail.com, and all these emails have different domains. Some are live, some are Hotmail, some are Gmail, and Yahoo and Reddit and all that. My boss wants me to convert all these emails, remove the domains, keep the email, and convert the domain as to Preparationinfo. So how do we achieve this target? Somebody can help me with this? I want to remove the domain names, and I want to put Preparationinfo instead of any domain name that appears here. So how do we achieve this? Guys, a little while ago, we used some functions, and these are upper and lower, and these len and left and right and mid functions. I'm going to use a combination of these functions to achieve the target. The first function that I'm going to achieve, I'm going to kind of find out, it's a common character. What is the common character in all these emails? This at symbol. This is the common character in all these emails. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use a find function here. This find function will help me to find the position of the common character. And this find, our first find function, if I write the syntax for find, here is my text from which I want to now. First, I have to specify what I want to find. This is the common character I want to find, and within which text I should find. I should find it from this text. And let's see what is the position of this. In first email, this character is 15th character. Now, if I copy it a bit down for a few more, you can see the position of this common character changes. 17th, 19th, 9th, 18th, 17, 9, 12, 11, 11. So all that, the position is different. But for the time being, I don't mind if the position is different. as long as I know the position. By this, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use my left function to extract these many characters from this main email that I have. So here I'm going to use left function, which we know what with the help of left, what we can do is we can extract the number of characters from the text. So here is the text. From we have to extract the characters. And how many characters we have to extract? These many characters which we have found in the previous cell. And this gives us Bonita Thomas 24, and I can copy it down, and that will give us all the values without the domain name. So our first job is done. We have removed the domain name from the name that we have in the email. Now what we need to do is we need to put our own domain name instead of the domain that is in the original email. So if I come back here where I have to insert, or I will continue to let me do it here. If I now, there are two functions that I can use. There is a concatenate function, which is an older function, and Excel is in on the is proposing to delete this function. Actually, they have inserted a new function which is concat, which is they want to continue in the future with concat and concatenate, which maybe was a long function, and some people complained about the typing such a long function. So Excel is Microsoft is on the it has plans to delete this concatenate function, and we will go forward concat. So when I start typing concatenate, when I type concat, you see concat is available and concatenate is also available, but there is a small triangle with this concatenate function, and this means that this function is on the way out, and this will be, at the moment both functions can be applied, but I recommend learning concat, and still if you are using concatenate already, you can continue to use it, but after maybe after 2 years this concatenate will not be available, and if you have used this in some files, that those files may not be operating after that. So concat is a function that I would apply, and what this concat function will do, you can combine two or more strings of text together in one place, and that will give you the result that you are looking for. Here, my first part of the result is this, which I have extracted with the help of find and left function, and I want to add to this preparation info, and I am lazy in typing, so I'll take a brief prep info and .com, and I'm typing this inside quotation marks. When I close this, I will get the new email ID that I'm trying to generate. You see Bonita Thomas 24 at prepinfo.com. Now when I copy it down, you get all the emails with the new domain, which is prepinfo.com. Now, if I copy further down, this is not going to work because I only have this intermediate or helper functions created for this much emails only. However, what I do, I do this, and I generally recommend that you do this kind of practice in order to perfect your formula. Once your formula is giving you the desired result, you can assemble all these steps into this main formula where you have entered it. And how to do that? This is your final formula. Where is the value coming from? this is an intermediate calculation. This F6 is an intermediate calculation. So what I recommend, instead of putting the value F6 here, you copy the formula that you used in F6. This is the formula I used in F6. So I copy this formula and I go back to this main function, and instead of F6, I will paste the formula that I have for F6. So if I hit enter now, this is not referring to F6 at all. It is reference to E6 and C6. C6 is the main text on which you have to apply your formulas, but E6 is also a helper function that we created. So instead of E6, I will go back to my E6, copy this formula, and I will paste it again. Instead of E6, I will paste this formula, and that actually gives me the end result, which I can use for all my emails. And this has no reference to these intermediate calculations. If I delete this, it doesn't interfere with my formula. And if you remember in the first uh, session, that little part of the first session that we did, I showed you one of the requirements, that the formula should be as short as possible. And if I look at this formula, this is not short at all, but these formulas that I created as intermediate formulas, these are short formulas, very short. And this is what we should try to achieve. If you have a longer function, or there are longer formulas that you need to create, first break that down into shorter formulas. And these shorter formulas then can be assembled into the longer one in order to achieve the final result. Now, this is our final formula, and I can copy it down up to this, and I can copy further down, and you will all get all your results. So every email is now replaced, every domain is replaced by prepinfo.com, and this is your final result. I would encourage you guys to try another function, which is text join. This is another function that can be used for the same purpose. I'm not going to demonstrate that. There are like 450 Excel functions, and if we try to look at the use cases of each function in this program, this is not going. 8 weeks is not going to be enough. So wherever I feel that there's another function that can be useful in this journey, I'll point out these functions, and I would encourage you guys to practice those functions also. There's another very interesting operator that we can use in our formula. Uh, there are some values, and I will put them here. Numbers, the numbers, but these things like plus sign and minus sign and division or multiplication sign and division sign, these are called the mathematical operators. There's another very important and very interesting uh, uh, symbol, this and symbol, or it is also called ampersand. This is called a concatenate operator, and this is very useful function, very useful symbol. This whole journey that I tried to achieve here, if I try to use this value and I want to combine it with Preparationinfo, I can use prepinfo.com, and this will give me the same result as this concat function. I did not use concat function at all here. I just use this concat operator. This concat operator can do the same job as concatenate function. So this is, and I can similarly, instead of this F6, I can use the formula for F6 and I can use the formula for E6. But all that, let's do that. Instead of F6, if I pull this formula, Control C, and I will use instead of F6 this formula, and instead of E6 I will copy this formula and paste it here. Instead of E6 I will paste this formula, and that will give me the same result as this. But I have not used any function. I have not used concatenate function. Instead I've used a concatenate operator only. And this concatenate operator gives me the same result. I can copy it down, and as much as I copy down, I get the same result. Any questions or comments? Anyone? Okay, so once, all right, before I move out of this sheet, I want to show you one more magic. I've shown you how to use this concat symbol, concat function. I've shown you how to use this concat operator, but I want to do a small test here. I'm going to say, without any function or any formula, I am going to try and replicate the email with a different domain name. And I will type Bonita Thomas 24 at prepinfo.com. That's it. I'm not using any function, anything. I just removed Gmail, and instead of Gmail, I put prepinfo.com. And the remaining, I kept all the email the same. Now, if I hold down Control and press E, Bonita Thomas 24. No, there is something I'm actually trying to invoke. Let's say I don't know. We looked at all the data pattern. It should be able to. I don't know. Let's try one more. Travis dot Anderberg at prepinfo.com. Travis dot Anderberg, Bonita Thomas 24. Let's see now if it works or not. It doesn't. I don't know what is the matter, but it generally what I'm trying to achieve actually here, there is a flash fill function, and I will see why it is not working. I will come back to this. What you actually I'm trying to achieve. I've put the first email, Bonita Thomas at Prepinfo, and Excel, when I hit Control and E, Excel will replicate all and create the emails for me without going through the whole hassle of writing the formulas and functions. I don't know why it is not working here. But I'll come back to this. Okay. So we have done the replacement of our domain names with Prepinfo. Now let's go to the next function, VLOOKUP. How many of us are familiar with VLOOKUP? I'm sure everybody knows. When you tell me you have access skills level 7, 8, that means you are familiar with these functions. Anybody not familiar with VLOOKUP?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
We are all
very good.
familiar, I believe.
Yeah. Let's quickly try to create this invoice. And the invoice here, we have the part numbers, and we need the description of the product. We need quantity we'll fill, unit price we won't find, and sale price and VAT and all that. And here we have the setup of the part numbers and descriptions and the unit prices. This is our database. So what we are going to achieve, and we are going to try, we are going to create the descriptions. So if I bring in the VLOOKUP function, and this is our part number, and the table array that I want to apply this it starts from here, and I will hold down shift and control, right arrow and down arrow. That will select my entire table array, and I will fix this table array because I want to apply it on the whole data. And I will, if I'm back at this cell, and the next thing I want to give is index is the second column. So index column is column number 2, and that's it. That's I want the exact match. So I will say false, and when I hit enter, that should give me the description. And if I copy it down, I get an NA message. NA is actually, if it doesn't find the value, then it should go. If you don't find the value, it will give you NA. Now, if I don't want to see NA, then I have to wrap this function, and I have to bring in another function, which is if error. And this if error, oh, if error, then what to do? If this NA will be considered as error, I want to see a blank cell here. Instead of the NA, I want to see blank. And this is how you can achieve blank. You have to wrap this function VLOOKUP with an if error function to get this blank value. So that means this part is not available in our database. Now quantity, I can put some random quantities here. This shouldn't be there. And 20 and 10. Now let's put it in the middle. Now unit price, again, I'm going to bring in this formula instead of instead of writing it again. I'm just reusing the function that I've created before. And instead B3, same, our unit price is going to be in column number 3. And because we are looking at unit price, so instead of blank, I'm going to say, give me 0. So this price is not available. And this should be our values. and this is the value that we are looking at. The total sale price would be quantity multiplied by unit price, and that gives you the total sale price. And you have to apply VAT on this. I don't know about your VAT applicability, but in Saudi Arabia we have 15% VAT applicable. So I'm going to multiply sale price with this 15%, and I will make it absolute, and that's my VAT, and this should be 15% actually. So that's converted to 15%. And this is my VAT, and my total invoice value should be sale price plus VAT, and that's the invoice price. And this way we can calculate our invoice. Your unit price you don't need, your total sale value you need, your VAT need, and your totals you need. So these three cells need to be given you total. So your total sale price is 3,915. Your VAT is $587, and your total receivable from the client is this. What are the shortcomings of our VLOOKUP function? How many of us are familiar with that? What are the shortcomings of VLOOKUP? Anyone? All of you are familiar with VLOOKUP function, yes? And you confirm that. But this VLOOKUP function has some shortcomings. Yes?
Yeah, I think if wherever your source data is not having your reference point as the first column,
Mhm.
I think then you will not be able to call the figures as you have done here. So I think that's a shortcoming. It's not the first column on your source data.
Uh-huh. Okay. There are two, three shortcomings. One, as I've shown here, there is no error handling mechanism in this function. For that, I had to bring in another function to help to handle the error. If it is
Yes.
not, the value is not found, then you have to put another function to handle that value. The
Yes.
second problem, the lookup values, which are the part numbers in this case, they have to be on the leftmost side of your database. Now, if, for example, this description or the price is given in column L or K, your VLOOKUP cannot function. The values, the lookup values should be on the leftmost, and the values you are trying to find should be on the right side of this. Otherwise, your function will not be able to find those values. The third shortcoming of this function is that, for example, if this part number is repeated, uh, for example, there are different models with the same part number, and those models have different prices. It will not be able to find the second or third value. It will only pick the first one. So these are the three shortcomings of this VLOOKUP function, and we'll find other functions which don't have these kind of shortcomings, but which can and the workarounds that we see. But the first look on this function, uh, this is how you apply your VLOOKUP, and this is how VLOOKUP functions. And VLOOKUP is a very useful function. I'm not denying the capability, but this VLOOKUP has its shortcomings, and it is always a good practice that when you are applying a function, you should know the shortcomings of the function so that you can utilize it properly for your analysis. The cousin function of this VLOOKUP is HLOOKUP, and this HLOOKUP function is when your data is in column orientation, like your lookup data is in column orientation, you use VLOOKUP. If your data is in row orientation, then you use horizontal lookup or H lookup. And this is the data I have is operational expenses. And the data is from January 20 up to December 2022. So 3 years data every month. And you have advertising and rent and supplies and salaries and utilities. So all this data, you want to find out for July 2020, the total expenses. Now, if I write the HLOOKUP function, the syntax is very similar, HLOOKUP, and you get your lookup values. And lookup values, this is the lookup value I'm trying to find out. And in which data, I have to select the table array again, starting from January 20, shift control down arrow and right arrow. I will select the entire data. And I'm not copying this formula across or down, so I'll just leave it without fixing. And that this time, instead of column index, because our values are in row orientation, so I will give row index, and this row number is 7th row in this data. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 7th row that I have to find out. And finally, I want the exact match, so I will select false, and I will close my function, and that will give me the result, which is 24,500 for July 2020. My total row, the value of the total row is 24,500. So this is the function that we have achieved. This has the same shortcomings as VLOOKUP, that your lookup value has to be in the topmost row. If the lookup value is is the topmost row, and the value you want to find out should be below this. If this total value is above, it cannot find. The HLOOKUP function cannot find that value. And also, if there are multiple values of the same category, it will not be able to find the second one. It will pick only the first one. But this is, interestingly, these VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP functions, they were kind of afterthoughts. Before this VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP, there used to be a function, and I will write the syntax of that function. That function is only lookup. And in this lookup function, I call it granddaddy of all the lookup functions. And the first lookup value that I want to generate is this value. And it is asking for lookup vector. Now, before I write further, let me show you what a vector is. In our database terminology, there are some values we call, first of all, I say scalar value. Scalar value means value in a single cell. This is scalar value. So this value is a scalar value. This value is a scalar value. This value is a scalar value. Okay, then there is a vector. So vector value would be a single column and multiple rows, or a single row and multiple columns. That means this is one vector. This is one vector. This is one column and 7 rows. This is one row and multiple columns. These are vectors. And then there are square values where rows and columns are equal. These are square values, like 2 rows and 2 columns, or 3 rows and 3 columns. These are square values. And finally, rectangular values. This will be, I don't need to write. Number of rows and columns are not equal. That will be a rectangular value, like 2 rows and 6 columns, or 6 rows and 3 columns. That will be a rectangular value. So when I say scalar value, scalar means this is a scalar value. I'll write the lookup function again and look up my lookup value. And here the lookup vector is this. This is my lookup vector. And my result vector is this. This is what I'm trying to look for. And that's it. I will close my function and I will hit enter. It gives me the same result. Why then we need this H lookup and those kind of things? Because this V lookup and this lookup function sometimes gives us erroneous values in when the data is in VLOOKUP situation. So that is why Microsoft had to come up with the VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP function, but they have not deleted this lookup function also from their library, because if your data is in horizontal orientation, like this example, then this HLOOKUP, that lookup function works very well and it doesn't give any errors. I will give you one more orientation of this lookup function. This is lookup value, and I will copy this and I will paste here. And in this cell, I'm removing the column references. I will leave the row references, and column references I'm removing. What does this do actually, guys? Can anybody tell me? The result is still the same. What happened? What happened in this? You know, you don't actually need to specify the range. If your data is very large and you don't want to specify which columns to look for, this actually is what it is trying to do. The lookup value, it will see in row number 6, and the result value, it will see in row number 12. That's it. You are not specifying the column, you are specifying the entire row. And that also, if your data is very large, the examples we create have a small number of rows and columns, but in real life, when you are working with real data, you work with thousands of rows and columns. So in that case, you don't need to specify start from this column and go to this column. This lookup function works without any specified range. It will look in the entire row number 6, and it will look in the entire row number 12 to get you the result. Any questions or comments on so far? Okay, we are almost at the midway level, guys, and I will take a short break now, 15 minutes, and when we come back, we'll continue. The system is on, the recording is on. If you want to discuss something among yourselves, or you want to be friendly with each other, you're welcome. You can continue. Only my mic will be off. The recording remains on, so that's a warning. You can exchange your greetings and anything you want to discuss among yourselves, but be careful, it's being recorded. So, and if you want to go take your coffee break, that's up to you, but system is on and you don't need to log off. I'm not logging off. Only my mic is off, and I'll come back after 15 minutes. Anybody wants to say anything? Okay, I don't hear any comments, so I'll be off for 15 minutes now. Come back, guys. How many are there?
I think I'm the only one.
You
We
are
are
the only
here.
one? No, there are others also. Okay. All right. Okay, let's continue with our exercises. Here are some other lookup functions. We have seen VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP. I'm sure you are familiar with these functions. Tell me how many of us are not familiar. Sum product, index, offset, and match. Any familiarity with these functions? Anyone familiar with these? Okay. These functions are also in the same category as lookup functions. First of all, let's look at the utility of sum product. You know, sum product is a very interesting function. If you need to calculate the total wages, here I have put some 26 values because alphabet could hold only 26 characters. So I used alphabet as the name code for each employee. And here is the number of days worked by each employee and daily wages for each employee. If I want to calculate the total wages earned by each employee, you can multiply with the days worked with the daily wage rate for each employee. And that will give you the total wages earned by each employee during the month. And you can use this calculation for generating the salary checks. And you want to sum up the total value of the salary payable. That's your total value of the salary payable, $255,890. However, there are certain requirements in your data valuation that you need only the total value. You don't need to calculate the individual employees' total sales, total salary earned. This is another feature of database systems that you do not store in your database the worked numbers. These are worked numbers. These are the original data values, the name code, days of the days worked, and daily wages. These are original data values. And the total salary payable to each employee, this is a worked number because you are manipulating two values to get to this value. In database management systems, you do not store the worked values because initially when the computer database system started operations, uh, there used to be uh, the storage value constraints. You needed large storage areas for storing a small value. Now, if you try to find the history, 1 GB of data, uh, the original estimate in 1964 was that you would need a room which should be 10 square meters or 10 cubic meters actually for 1 GB of data. That was the original estimate. So the database systems were created in that constrained times in which storage was a big problem, and it became a norm that only the original values are stored in databases and no work numbers are stored. Now, in your database, you have these values, which is days worked and daily wages, but these work numbers are not available. Now, if you download these values and you need to calculate the wages payable to each employee, then this is possible. You can multiply these. But if you need only the total value, then this sum product function can be very helpful function. And if I write the sum product function here, sum product, this sum product function, uh, it will need two or multiple ranges. First range is this, and the second range would be the daily wage rate range. And with these two ranges, if I close the function, that would give me the total value of the wages payable to all employees. And you can see this 255,890 is the same value that we calculated here. So this is a confirmation that your total uh, wages payable, some product function can give you the result without going through the individual values. What this sum product function actually does, now, if you remember our old memory calculators, they used to work like that. You will multiply this value with this value, add to memory, then multiply this value with this value, add to memory, multiply this value with this value, add to memory, and finally get the grand total. The sum product function actually works on the same principle, and it gives you the end result just by multiplying each value of each string of data and giving you the final grand total of the total values that you are trying to achieve. And this function can be used where your requirement is the total wages payable and not the individual employee wages payable. So that's the utility of this function. The next function that I want to introduce is index. Now, index function is kind of an address function. You can find within a database, for example, we have this database. Within this database, you can find a value at the cross section of a particular row and column. From this database, if I look at 10th row, this 10th row is Mr. J's data, which is number of days worked and daily wages. If I want to find out how many days Mr. J worked in this month, I can find by selecting this database, and at the cross section of 10th row and third column in this data set, I can find out the number of days this guy worked. Let me write the syntax of this function now. Index. This index function, here is my array of data. I always start like this. Start from here and shift and down arrow, shift and control, and right arrow and down arrow. So this is my entire data set. In this entire data set selected, I want to go to the row number. This is row number 10 in this data set, which is for Mr. J. I want to go to 10th row and I want to go to column number. This column number is 3. 1 is serial number, 2 is name code, 3 is days work. So column number 3, it should give me the number of days Mr. J worked during this month, and that's 22 days. This is the function. It can bring you the value at the cross section of a column and a row in the data set. Clear? Now, the second function that we would like to bring to this analysis is the offset function. Offset function is a similar function. However, the working of this function is a little different from index. It does not take into account the total data range. However, what you will do with this function, it's kind of a robot, and I like to think of this function as a robot because this works like a robot. A robot. Let's assume that my robot is sitting in cell number B8. I want to reach the same Mr. J and number of days worked by Mr. J. I will, and I assume my robot cannot travel diagonally. So my robot will go down 10 steps. It will reach this row. Once it has reached this row, it will go to it will go 2 steps on the left, sorry, on the right, and it will reach that cell. And this is how the offset function works. Let me show you the syntax. Offset, we start from B8, and this will go down by number of rows. If I say 10, this means 10 rows down from the starting point. If I say -2, -3, -4, -10, then it will go upwards. So it can go both down and up from the starting point. So I want to go down for my problem. So I'm adding +10, but -10 will take it up by 10 values. So both are possible. -10, minus numbers and plus numbers. Plus numbers will take it down from the starting point, and plus number will take it up from the starting point. The second value it would require is the number of columns. And once it reaches here, it needs to go 2 columns on the right. Again, I will put 2, and it is +2. If I want to go to on the right side, I can use, sorry, on the left side, I can use -2 or -1, whatever is applicable. So this is the this can go both up or down or left or right on both sides. You just have to change the sign of the numbers. Plus rows will go down and minus rows will go up. Plus columns will go on the right side, and minus columns will go on the left side. So if I close this function, it should bring me the same value, which is 22 days, which is uh, days worked by Mr. J in this month. These functions, they're very useful functions, and I explained to you the shortcomings of XLOOKUP and VLOOKUP. The VLOOKUP can find only the values on the right side of the lookup value. So this can be kind of a workaround. Instead of using VLOOKUP, we could use this offset or index functions in order to find the right values, where VLOOKUP cannot help us to find the value which we are looking for. We'll see some use cases in a while. The next function that I want to introduce is match. And this match function is very simple function to work, but it gives you wonderful results when used in a right combination of different functions together. But first of all, let's try to understand the syntax of match function. Our first match function is going to be, I want to find this del, and you can see del is at number 11, but here we have only 20 companies. But if you are working with 20,000 rows, then this becomes a very useful function to have in your repertoire. And I want to find del. This del is going to be, I can, oh, sorry, I didn't start the match function. Match, and my lookup value is this del. I can either refer to this del, or I can type this value in quotation marks. Both ways it will work. And where I want to find out, this is my lookup array, and this lookup array, and I need the exact match, less than 1, or exact match, or greater than 1. I want exact match, so I will put 0, and that should give me the position of 11. Now this is one way of lookup. Now sometimes, again, I will say that we can see all this. Maple is at number 17, but if I don't have the, if I have a large data set and I don't know the full spelling of the word maple, and I want to just find, I know the first 3 characters, I can find out this value by putting this asterisk and trying to find out this value in this data set. And my first value is first of all, I'm going to say match. And this is my lookup value. And this asterisk is sometimes called a wildcard character. This wildcard character will allow to find any word which has first three characters as MAP. And it will find the word and give us the position of that tentative word. And my lookup array is again the same lookup array. And my match is exact match. And if that should give me 17 number value. So Maple is at number 17 in this data set. I only use three characters, and for remaining characters, I used asterisk. Sometimes people ask the beginning or ending. Try to find this Facebook with the word book, and before the book, put an asterisk and see what is the result. I'll encourage you to do this exercise on your own. Try to find, I'll write it here. I will not do the formula. I'll just say, try to find this book. Try to find this word with this match function, and let's see the result. Now, the company which is one of the famous companies these days, Vidya, this company, if I'm not sure of the spellings exactly, if I put I'm not sure if it is after D there is IA or EA. In that case, if I just leave a question mark here and try to search with the match function, this will also give me the correct match. And I'm looking up for this value, and in this cell, in this range, my exact match I want to find out, and this is NVIDIA is at number 15, and here is an NVIDIA. Now let's see if I had misspelled it. Instead of this question mark, if I had put E, then it would not give me the result. It needs an exact match. Otherwise, if you are not sure of something, just put a question mark, and that question mark will serve the purpose, and you should be able to find the value with the help of this wildcard character. So the multiplication sign or star and the question mark are the wildcard characters that can be used to replace some characters in your text string that you are trying to find out. And this question mark can replace. I will again encourage you to try to find this N V question mark D question mark A. Try to find this. Does it work or not? And it will be an interesting exercise for you guys. Does it work with multiple question marks or not? Okay, so I will encourage you to do this on your own time. These were your the other set of lookup functions. The match is a very useful lookup function, and index and offset are a very useful lookup functions also. Okay. Now some custom and conditional formatting exercises. Sometimes you have the values. Here are the values. You want to show these values in millions. How do you do that? How do you show the values in millions without changing the cell, without changing the numbers, only the formatting change? Anyone? Here we have the change. So we want to do some other formatting also, but for the time being, I'm asking you, I want to change this to millions. The numbers on the display should be in millions. Okay, let's do some custom formatting. Here, more number formats, custom, and the formatting I want to achieve is I want to see this number should show as 0.29 millions. Okay, because this is 0.29 millions. What I'm going to do, I'm going to say hash, where is hash? Hash 0.00. And if I just hit enter, now, comma, 2 commas. You see what is the value now? It is 0.29 million, 0.11 million. But interestingly, if I click on this cell, this formula bar shows me the full value. It is only the display that has changed. And I will bring down the value that I want to I put here. This is the formatting I put. Here is the formatting. Hash 0.00 and comma. That is called custom formatting. This is your custom formatting, and you can put a note on the top that all numbers are displayed in millions. But when you write a formula, be aware and keep in mind that your number is actually a full number. It's not converted to the million value. It's a full number. Let's see another formatting. If I want to convert these numbers into thousands, let's see how, let's do that. And I will go to custom format again, and I will go to the same custom formatting, and the formatting I'm going to use this time, again, hash 0.00 single comma. This time I'm not putting 2 commas. And when I say OK, you see this is now in thousands. Values are in thousands now. And this is the formatting that I've used. Custom formatting. Here. This is for millions. This is for thousands. Now, sometimes you want to show M and K. To do that, you will add after this. I'll not put these values there, but I'll just give you an option. I will put these values here. And what you can do is backslash M or slash M. If you put this M, then with every number, you will find an M. And here you can do the same. And here if you put K, that K means 1,000, M means million. So if you put K, that will appear with each number. You can also do this instead of this slash. You can put it like this also. And if you put this M in quotation marks, that will work also. The same result. Then this K will be in quotation marks. It will be the same result. This is your formatting exercise. And many times this is very important for your analysis, that you want to present your numbers in different formats, but without changing the underlying values. So this is only display change. The underlying values are the same. Okay. Now here we have seen the year-on-year change. Now, if you want to give this a meaningful kind of result, I just don't want to show that my result is 38% plus or minus. I want to bring in a color kind of code. Let's see how we do that. If I want to bring down some symbols and I want to use those symbols for my plus and minus values, I will try to insert a symbol, and the symbols I will bring in. This is one. And if I say insert, and I want another similar symbol, downward pointing also. Let's see where I get it. Bear with me, guys, until I try to find the symbol I'm looking for. Always ditches me. I don't know where it has gone. I'm trying to find the reverse of this. Okay, I'll go with this one. This is. Let me make one more attempt. I don't know. I can't find it. Can't find the reverse. Okay, I'll try to create a reverse of this if I can. I'll not waste time on this. Let's look for some other symbol. I'm not finding the reverse of this. And I'll put these symbols here. I'll use this as my plus somewhere here. Let's take these arrows, up and down arrow, and I will download this, insert, and I will use this also. Okay, these are the symbols I want to use. For a positive number, I want to use this first symbol, this upward arrow, and for a negative calculation, I want to use the downward arrow. So let's go to these values. Let me copy them and paste them here. And this will give me, let me do the values. Okay. Now I want to change these values into these symbols. Let's see how we do that. I will select all that. And before I do that, I'm going to copy them, these two values that I have already downloaded. Let's select these and I go to my custom format. And in custom format, I want custom formatting. And instead of this percentage, I want to place these. And this plus arrow, before this plus arrow, I will put a quotation mark and a colon. And for the second one, I'll put again quotation marks and a colon. And let's see what is the result. For plus, you see an up arrow. For minus, you see a down arrow. And that's it. And that's the symbolic presentation of your numbers. The numbers are not there, but in all plus values, you have an up arrow and you have a down arrow for the down values. Let me enlarge the size to make it a little more meaningful. And now I want to add some colors to this. So let's go back to our custom formatting. And I'm going to add some color symbols here. And I will put this straight bracket and I will type green, close this straight bracket. And before the second arrow, I will type again straight bracket and red and close the straight bracket. And let's see the result. I missed something. Yeah, I put this red before the colon. It should be after the colon. Again? No. Here it is. So this kind of formatting, you want to put some symbols with your data. You can easily do that with the help of custom formatting. And this is your, I will bring it close to the numbers. So you can see from a distance what these numbers are reflecting. Let me copy this custom format for you so that you can see how we generated this. And this is the custom formatting we did. I will put it here. This is your custom formatting. Actually, what happens, this colon, anything before the colon is representing all plus numbers. It will disregard the size of the number. Any plus value is green and up arrow, and any negative value is red and downward arrow. That's what this custom formatting is doing for you. Okay. Now, custom formatting and conditional formatting are two different things. We have looked at custom formatting, which is a part of our regular formatting of numbers in Excel. But in the remaining, that if you want to put some conditions, and those conditions you want to use for formatting, then we will have to go for conditional formatting. And in your home tab, here you have the conditional formatting and the conditions in this analysis. The conditions that we are going to use are these. You want to, for all the values which are less than 75, you want to, it should be greater than 75. Yeah, greater than 75. Any value greater than 75? Any value less than 50? Okay, the value is less than 50. Yeah, this is now correct. And let's put all the values which are greater than 75. And I will select all these values. And we go to conditional formatting. And here we are going to use highlight cell rules. And we will select greater than. Now, any value, this will automatically take a median value, but we want to put value ourselves. Any value greater than 75, we need light green fill and dark green text. It is filled with red, which is not what we are looking for. Here we have the green fill and dark green text. So we will select this. And this is what we have achieved now. Any value which is greater than 75 is light green fill and dark green text. We go back to the conditional formatting and we put the second condition. If it is below 50, then it should be yellow fill and red text. And we go back and highlight cell rules when it is less than. And this condition is less than 50. And it is red fill and red text. But we want yellow fill and yellow text. This yellow fill and dark green text is not available. So we will go with the custom format. And in custom format, you can put font in dark green. I'll use this dark green and format, and the fill I will use with yellow. So this is your yellow fill and dark green text. And finally, the last condition, if other two conditions are not applicable, that means that for the numbers which are between 50 and 75, we have to go with the red fill and white text. So let's go back to conditional formatting again. And these are the conditional formattings. Highlight cell rule again and between. And here we are going to say 50 and 75. And again, it is filling with the red, and this is not what we want. So we'll go with the custom format. And this time our fill is this dark red fill. And our font should be white. And this is what we want to achieve. And this is your this is your condition of formatting. This is what we wanted to achieve. Any questions or comments on this, guys? Anyone? Anyone wants to say anything? No question, no comment. Anybody there? Or I'm talking to my computer.
We are here.
Okay, very good. All right. Now, let's do some practice. Here, what I want you to show, I want to show you, this is the data that we use for HLOOKUP. I've created the same data here. This is a replica of the data, but I want you to create a drop-down list. This is the months that you can select by yourself. If you can go to October 22, you can go to June 20, you can go to November 21. So you can select any of them. Everybody knows how to create this drop-down list? Anyone? You know how to create this drop-down list?
I think you filter.
Filter. Well, let's do this. This total, I want to change from total. Again, I want to create a drop-down list, and I want to allow my user to be able to select this value. Like the user can select the month, user should also be able to select the criteria. They want to check advertisement or supplies or total or utilities or what. So let's create a drop down list here. And this cell, we go to data tab, we go to data validation. And in data validation, our first selection is data validation. And here we have any value. Instead of any value, we are going to select this list. And this list, I want to select this range of the list from advertisement to total. And that will give me the drop down list. And when I click here now, this also becomes a selectable list. Now I used the function I created before was based on this. Let's say March 20, and this March 20, I want to find the total. I will enter the same formula that I entered before. That was HLOOKUP. This HLOOKUP, this was my lookup value, and this was my table array. And I was looking up for the row number 7, and I was looking for exact match. So if I close this, I get the value for March 2020, which is 25,800. But if my user selects advertisement, my answer is wrong. My result is not correct because advertisement is 5,200, not 25,800. Why my function is not responding correctly? Because my function, I have put the row reference as a hard-coded static number. It will always pick from row number 7, and it will not respond to a selection on this. It can respond to this selection because this selection, if I say go to July 20, this July 20 result will change. But if I change this selection, this result does not change because I have not built in this selection. So for that purpose, what I can do, I can replace this 7 with a match function. If I use match, and I will, now my lookup value is this. Okay. Now this is my lookup value. And in this lookup value, where is my lookup array? This is my lookup array. And inside this lookup array, I want exact match. If I close this now, let's see what happens. Now my total is 24,500 for July 2020. Now if I select instead of total, if I select advertisement, my formula responds. I get now 4,600, which is July 2020 advertising expense. If I go to salaries, 16,000 is the salaries for July 2020. I can select utilities or whatever I select, my function will respond. Supplies is 1,300. I can select any month from the range. I can select any expense head from the range. This makes my formula dynamic. And that is the beauty of these match and index functions that can make our functionality dynamic. And this functionality will help us to get to the right values, whatever our user selects. And these two values will leave our user to select which month they want to check and which expense head they want to check. And after they have done that, yeah, this value will automatically be picked by the formula. This is a practical use of different functionalities and formulas in our analysis. Let's do this same function in another orientation. If I use index, okay, I want to use index function instead of h lookup. This index function, as we know, is the function that can find out the data on a in a kind of from the selected range. I'm selecting only the numbers value, and this numbers value is our data selection. Now I'll select from here, sorry. This is our data range, and this data range, if I, which row number you want, instead of putting the row number, this supplies is row number 4 in our analysis. But if I put match function here, this match function, this is what I want to match with. Where I want to match? I want to match in this range, and I want an exact match. That is my row number. Then I need column number. So instead of giving a column number, I am going to again put a match function. And this match function, I want to match my match values in this case are these values. Now, this is my match value. I want to match in this list, starting from here, right up to there. And I want an exact match. This closes my second match function, and I will close my index function, and this gives me the same result. Let me just put the formatting here, and this is my formatting. And I used HLOOKUP, and I replaced the row number with a match function here. And the second analysis, I used altogether no HLOOKUP. I used index function, and I brought in two match functions in it to specify the row for me and the column. And these two match functions, this, if I show you the result of first match function, it is giving me a row number 4. And the second match function should be giving me the column number. This is column number 12. So column number 12, row number 4, the intersection in this data is already provided for you. And that is the beauty of this index and match functions together. This is my favorite combination of cells, of functions. It can do wonders in our data selection and analysis. So these are my favorite functions: offset and index match. These are my favorite, and they work very beautifully. And I hardly use any VLOOKUP or HLOOKUP. I mostly use index and match combination, or there are a few other functions that I will show you in due course, and we will look at those also. But these are my favorite functions, and they can work beautifully together, and they can solve most of our data selection problems. Any questions or comments? Okay. Now we'll go to another problem. Here we have a situation. Here is our company's policy that our company will approve kind of a credit policy for our clients. But here is the criteria. The company would be eligible for funding if their average operating profit is greater than 35%. Average operating profit is greater than 35%, and CAGR of revenue is greater than 50%. Okay. Now we have to write the functions to check if the company is eligible for funding or not. Now, first of all, we have the income statement, we have revenues and operating costs. We have to calculate the uh, operating margin, operating profit margin. First of all, we will take the sum of our operating costs, and this is, I'm just holding down Alt and is equal to, and that gives us the total of operating cost. We want to calculate the operating profit, and that is going to be total revenue minus the operating cost, and that's our operating profit. Now, CAGR is a concept called compound annual growth rate. It is such annualized growth rate that if you start from the starting point and you apply that growth rate on each year, you will end up on the last year. You can see the first year growth is 70%, but the second year growth and third year growth is much less, and fourth year growth again is a little higher. So you have to find a smooth kind of growth rate, and this growth rate we can find out until 2024, Excel did not have a function to calculate CAGR. And we used to have mathematical formula. I will just write that mathematical formula for sake of demonstration. We used to do the compound annual growth rate by this. It was ending value divided by beginning value raised to the power 1 over P. P is number of periods minus 1. So this was the formula we used to use for calculating the compound annual growth rate. But in 2024, Microsoft came up with a function, and that function now can be used for the calculation of compound annual growth rate. And the function is RRI. RRI. And this says returns an equivalent interest rate for the growth of an investment. So I'm going to use RRI function for this CAGR calculation. But uh, if you are using an older version of Excel, uh, it is available in Microsoft 365. But if you are unable to use this RRI function, then you can use this mathematical calculation for the sake of calculating your CAGR. And let me calculate this CAGR here. CAGR of revenue. Now, CAGR of revenue would be ending value. This is your ending value divided by the beginning value raised to the power 1 divided by, these are 4 periods from here to here, 1, 2, 3, and 4 years. So divided by 4 minus 1. So that should give you the compound annual growth rate. I will make it percentage, 35.75%. And here I'm going to use that CAGR, that RRI function, and we'll compare them both. First of all, we have to calculate the average operating profit margin. Now, operating profit margin is operating profit divided by the revenue. So I'm going to take an average of operating profits. This is my average of operating profits. Close this and divide it by average of my revenues, and this should give me the average. Now you can see that this 35% is the target, which is according to our policy, and 43% is the result. So this criteria is met, but this is the second criteria is 50%. However, CAGR is 35.79. If I make it round, it's 36%. I will calculate the same CAGR with RRI, and this RRI, now number of periods is 4. Present value present value is this and future value is this. So let's calculate our CAGR. It's the same 36%. So this mathematical function, or if you have in your Excel this RRA function, you can use both. The result will be the same. Now, the second function, the second calculation is not meeting the target. So what is the result of this analysis? The result of this analysis is that this company is not eligible for funding, eligible for financing. You cannot give credit to this company. It meets one criteria, but it doesn't meet the second criteria. Now, my boss wants me to give an answer in a more structured form. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring in a function that will help me to make a decision and show that decision on my screen. And the first, the function I'm going to use is and, because I have two criterias and both criterias have to be met. If it was either or, I would have used or function. But in this case, it is both conditions to be met. So I'm going to choose and function, and function requires that this cell should be greater than or equal to this cell, which is the target. This is condition number one, logical test one. Now logical test two is this value should be greater than or equal to this value. So both logical tests have to be met. Now when I close this function and hit enter, it says false. That means my test fails. If the test fails, that means the company did not meet the criteria for providing financing. If the company does not meet the criteria for providing financing, that means we will not provide financing to this company. However, my manager wants to see, does not want to see true or false. My manager wants to see eligible or not eligible. Now, in that case, what I'm going to do, I'm going to wrap this function with an if function. And if, now here, the decision is already done. When it says false, that means ineligible. If it is true, that would mean it is eligible. Now, in that case, if it is true, I will say eligible, and I'm putting the wrong spelling deliberately. I will show you why. If it is uh, if it is true, it should be eligible. If not true, then I will say not eligible. And I will close this if function. And now it says not eligible because both the criteria are not met. So this company is not eligible. Now I will correct the spellings and you will see the magic of conditional formatting here. Eligible is with single L. And now you will see this. Now my manager doesn't need to come close to my screen and see what is the result, or I don't need to present the file. Only this color tells my manager that this company is not eligible for financing. Yeah, for the sake of just understanding, if I put 30% here as my target, you see it becomes eligible. That means both criteria are met now. So this company is now eligible. But if my target is original 50%, then this is not eligible. So this is how you can use functionality in Excel to, to show your decisions and to make your decisions and show them on screen also without any kind of descriptive analysis. Any questions or comments? Okay. Now the last thing that we have on this file, and this is, I think, the last thing we are going to do today is pivot tables. I'm sure everybody is familiar with pivot tables, and you guys have high access skill levels. However, we'll quickly go over this. What does the word pivot mean, guys? Somebody can tell me what is pivot? I'm not asking for pivot tables. I just want to understand the meaning of word pivot. What is pivot? Where it comes from? How many of you have played video games? This you should be able to answer. Guys, anybody listening to me?
Yes, we're listening to you.
Eh,
Pivot
Uh,
is like center.
it's like a
Center.
center.
Yeah.
An interesting meaning. Yes, it can be like a center. You know why I refer to video games? Because in video games, yes, Abdul,
Or
you
there
want to?
may be the starting point.
Yeah, let me explain. That
Okay.
in physics, there is something called a pivot joint. The why I'm referring to video games, because in video games you will see joysticks kind of situation where there is a ball which is in a held in a cup like situation, and there's a stick attached to that ball, and that stick can move in almost 270-degree directions. It cannot move 360, but it can move to uh, uh, up, down, left, right, and in different angles also. So that kind of a joint in physics is called a pivot joint. In human body also, there are two joints which are called pivot joints. One of these joints is hip joint, and our legs can move front and back and on the sides to some extent. And our shoulder joint is also a pivot joint. Our arms can move in four different directions to some extent. So this is what the word pivot means. Why we call these pivot tables as tables? Because we can move around data in many directions and in many formations, and you can change this direction anytime you want. Now, the data that we have for this pivot table analysis is the fictitious data, by the way, it's not correct data, for Preparationinfo. And from the year 2021 up to 2023. And this is the different trainings this Preparationinfo runs. And in different countries, like you have Uganda, Nigeria, Singapore, ASA, UAE, Lebanon, Kenya, Kuwait, and this is data for different years. And these are different trainings: PMP and financial modeling, digital marketing, Six Sigma, business analytics, corporate trainings, and the number of enrollments and the total sales for these trainings in each year and each country. Now we'll try to create a pivot table out of this. This data is converted into an Excel table, and if it's not, it's just a filtration. Let me remove the filtration. Okay, now filtration is gone. I want to convert this data into an Excel table. It is a very good practice that when you want to create a pivot table, first you should convert your data into an Excel table. The reason behind that is that Excel table has this property that anything that you place after this data, which is currently available, and on the at the bottom or on the right or left side of this data, that will automatically become part of the table, and your pivot table will also be automatically updated. So with this, what we are going to do now, we are going to convert this data into table, and the shortcut for that is Control T. And this Control T, it is already selected the data, which is going to be part of my table. And it says my table has headers. This is important because I have headings in my data. If I uncheck this, Excel will replace these headings with the with column 1, column 2, column 3. I don't want to lose my headings, so I should have this my table has headers checked, and when I say OK, my data becomes an Excel table and it has a name. I will call it uh, enrollments data, and this is also a very good practice that it should be named. Each table that you create should be named. Okay, and each name, and this is my habit, that when I create a table, I put the word TBL with it just to distinguish that it's a table name. Enrollments underscore data underscore TBL. This is the name of this table. And with this, now we are ready to create a pivot table. Now there are multiple ways to do that. I can go to my home tab and I can go to insert and I can insert a pivot table, or I can go to my table design, and on this table design there is one column here. It is summarized with the pivot date table. So I can summarize with the pivot table. Result will be the same both ways. And I can, now it is asking me to summarize enrollments underscore data underscore table into a pivot table. And it is suggesting to put on a new sheet. And I always recommend that when you create a pivot table, always put it on a new sheet, because if your data expands, your pivot table will expand. And if you have multiple pivot tables on one sheet, they can interfere with each other. And because of that interference, you will not be able to, your pivot table will mess up with the results, and your result may be not correct. So it is always a good practice to place only one pivot table on one sheet, and it is going to be on new worksheets. When I say OK, this is the pivot table anchor position. This anchor position always starts from cell number A3. It will leave 2 rows above, and we will see in a minute why these 2 rows are left blank, and it starts from A3. On the left hand side of the screen, you have the pivot table fields. Now, this fields, you see my cursor changes shape. When it changes to this anchor form, I can drag out this value fields, and I can enlarge it so that I can see better the kind of values I want to place. And here you will have the headings of all your columns. These are your value fields that you can use for your analysis. And here you have the filters, you have the column headings, you have the rows, and you have the values. Now, if I start selecting the country automatically becomes part of the rows. And here is our pivot table has started building up. You have got the list of countries. Now, if I go to trainings, the trainings are now placed under the country name. And now if I check the enrollments are our values. So it will automatically put the values as sum of enrollments. And the next, if I select sales, that's again values, and it will sum up the values here. By default, our pivot table will put the sum of these values, but you can change it. If I select this and go to value field settings, you can have a sum or a count or average or max or min or product and count number, standard deviation, and all that, variance and all. You can change the value, but we'll continue with this uh, sum for the time being. Why I call this, why I brought in that definition of pivot joint, because you can move the data the way you want. For example, we have the country and then training name. If I want the training name at the top and country at the bottom, I can just pull the country down. And now training name is at the top and country is at the bottom. I want the training name again and country at the top. I can pull it down. I want to throw away the country. I can just drag it and throw it out of the value fields and the country is gone. Only the training names remain. I want to bring the country back. Here is the country back. I want the country to be above the training name. It goes above the training name. I want to bring in the year. I can bring in the year. And the year, year has become, because it's a value, the numbers in the years are values. So this is putting under values. Now we don't want this as values. We want this as our column headings. Now you can see you have the years as column headings. First of all, you have the enrollments for 21, 22, 23. Then you have sales for 21, 22, 23. And you have the sum of total say enrollments and you have sum of the sales also. You don't want this year to be your column heading. You want this to go to filters. Here the year becomes a filter. Now this is what I wanted to, this is why Excel keeps the space at the top, that if you want to add a filter, that you can add later on. Now these are some of the basics. Once you are done with these and this kind of analysis, and you don't want this bigger pivot table fields, you can anchor it back and it sticks to the position where it was before. You want to remove it, just check from here and it's gone. The value fields are gone. You want to bring it back, you can bring it back. Uh, Click anywhere in the pivot table and go to pivot table design, analyze. And here is the fields list. You can bring the fields list back. The field list is back. You want these collapse buttons. If you press on Bahrain and KSA and Kenya, this collapses. But if you want to remove the uh, expand and collapse buttons, you can remove the buttons here. The buttons are gone, but you can still double click on the value and that will work. The collapse will happen. But now there are no buttons. You want to bring the buttons back, they will come back. Now, many times you will see, you don't want to see the word sum of enrollments and sum of sales. What you can do in this case, I want to change the sum of enrollments to enrollments only. I cannot do that. Pivot table does not allow me. If I delete sum of enrollments, and if I say, okay, pivot table does not allow me because this word enrollments is already one of the fields in my uh, uh, list of fields here. So it will not allow me to use the same value as my column heading. But there's a trick. If I just put one space before the enrollments, it will work. Then it allows me to put this enrollment word. This space only can do the trick. Now let's do the same with the sales. And this time I want to put a space at the end. Let's see if it works or not. It works. So you can put either a space at the beginning or at the end of the word and it will work. You want to change the settings. You want to change the this current field is showing the currency value. You want to change it. I just want to see the numbers. I can do that by value field setting and go to number format, and current number format is currency. I just want number and I want a comma separator and I don't want any decimals, so 0 decimals. So this will give us the value field settings. You can do this formatting from these number formats of Excel also. However, it is recommended that for pivot tables, do not use this formatting, because if your data changes, your pivot table may become your value field may be your formatting will be different. I did the undo, and the formatting is gone back. Let's do the redo, and the formatting is back. Now there are for the time being, I'm going to remove this pivot table fields, or even we can continue it like that. I will remove the this collapse and expand buttons, and now, yeah, if I go to pivot table design, there are a few things you can do here. You see the subtotals. The first button here is subtotals button, and in subtotals, these are the options. You can say do not show subtotals, or show subtotals at the bottom of the group, and show subtotal at the top of the group. The current setting is at the top of the group. I want to put it at the bottom, so this goes at the bottom of the group. Then grand totals. Uh, Grand totals, sometimes for some data, you don't need grand totals, but grand totals can be shown in column at the bottom of the column, or top of the column, or no grand totals for any of the uh, on for columns, on for rows, or on for rows and columns, or off for rows and columns. So this selection you can make. Then the report layout, I will encourage you guys to look at several report layouts, show in compact form, and show in outline form, and these kind of things. Finally, this is a blank line after each group. So if I say insert a blank line after each group, now you see it looks like Bahrain is a separate table, Kenya is a separate table, KSA is a separate table. So each table looks like a different and new table altogether. And this gives you a different look. You want to remove grand total, go to pivot table design, go to grand total, and say off grand total from the rows and columns. So that is gone. Now, the filter that we had placed here, it is for all. Now, if I want to see 2021, and when I say okay, now there was no enrollments in Bahrain. We, the Preparationinfo didn't have any business in Bahrain in 21, but they had business in Kenya and Kuwait. Kuwait only digital marketing training and Six Sigma training. Lebanon, they didn't have corporate training, but other trainings they had. No trainings in Qatar other than digital marketing. And this is how you can see how the things are working in 2021. You can change it to 2023 or 22, or go back to all, and that's your data that we were looking at. Now, before we close out on this pivot table, there are other things that you can work, but this is one of the most interesting one that I'd like to display. Uh, I want to create a pivot table separate for 21, separate for 22, and the third pivot table for 23. How do we do that? How can we create a separate pivot table for each year?
Please repeat that again. I didn't get that.
Say again, my question. I'm saying here we have a filter function, and this filter function, you can filter your data for 21, 22, 23. But I want to create a separate pivot table for 21, 22, and 23. For each year, I want to create a separate pivot table. How can we do that? Guys, inside pivot table, I go to pivot table analyze, and here you see pivot table options. In pivot table options, If I go to show report filter pages, and if I click on this, and it is asking me which filter you want to analyze it with. The only filter I have is here. When I say OK, automatically you have 2021, 2022, 2023, and this sheet 1 is the master pivot table. So this way you can create a separate pivot table for each year. This sheet 1, I will call it master pivot. PVT is enough, master pivot. And then you have 21, 22, and 23. Interestingly, these pivot tables are filtered for 2021. It is a replica of your original table, master pivot, but it is filtered for 21. This 22 is filtered for 22 and 23 is filtered for 23. But this gives you the impression that you have four different pivot tables actually, and each one you don't need to refilter. It's already filtered for you. So this is your master pivot table, and this is for each year separate. This brings us to the end of this file, and now that we don't have enough time left, I don't want to open a new chapter, a new subject. We'll close the session today, but before we close the session, I would like to hear you guys about the session today, the way we conducted the session, and the introductory session also. We had an hour and a half on the day one also. So far, the introduction and the way I structured the lecture today, how was the explanation? Uh, did you learn something new? And any suggestions to improve? I would like to hear your comments, and then we will close the session. Who will go first? Washington, thank you for this excellent comment, but be a little more expressive, please. What was it up to the expectations or exceeding the expectations or something like that? And be very open if you want to tell me that it was not up to your expectations. I don't mind that, and that is how the things will be improved if they need to be improved. Who can go next? Washington cannot speak and he can write his comments. Who will go first? Abdul or Eric? Come on, guys. Now you have to speak. Yes, Eric.
Okay, I think the pacing was good.
Okay.
It also, I think you delivered the course in a way that I think, could follow as well.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, it was so generally the pacing was good. It was easy to follow,
Mhm.
and I think the break in the middle also kind of helped us as well to
Yes.
sort of recharge.
Yeah.
So I think it was fine.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Abdul, are you there, Abdul? Abdul, we are waiting for your comment. Well, Abdul is busy somewhere, I think. So, guys, let's close for today, and we'll meet again next Saturday. Before next Saturday, what we are going to do, I'm going to send out this file to admin, the file I was working on. So they will send out this uh, to you guys, and they have recorded the session. And this recorded session, you will receive a link to download the recording. So I will suggest that you download the recording, because this online link does not remain available forever. So it will be a good idea for you to download it in your computer, so that you can refer to that again whenever you like. And for the next session, we will send you some files in advance that we will be working on, so that if you like, you can work alongside my work, and you can see and you can practice at the same time. So that's all for today. See you next Saturday, and hopefully, as today the technology was working fine, it will work again next time. Okay. Okay, guys. Good night.